Bueno, banda, ya estamos en los días posteriores al lanzamiento de Saros en el PlayStation 5 por parte de Housemarque, uno de mis juegos más anticipados de este 2026 que, afortunadamente, al menos para nosotros, estuvo a las alturas de estas expectativas. Ya tenemos una reseñota que pueden checar en nuestro canal para que vean por qué disfrutamos tanto de la intensa acción que propone el título. Por suerte, esto de trabajar en los gordos también presenta oportunidades muy padres, como el hecho de que PlayStation México se acercó a nosotros para ver si queríamos platicar un rato con parte del equipo de desarrollo de este nuevo lanzamiento de los PlayStation Studios. Como siempre, es muy interesante ver los detrás de cámara de producciones tan llamativas como lo es Saros. Luego dijimos que sí, en especial porque Housemarque nos abrió las puertas para tener una charla con Gregory Louden, el director creativo del juego, y Simone Silvestri, director de arte. Obviamente se trata de dos figuras sumamente relevantes que definieron mucho de la sustancia que constituye la odisea de Arjun Debraj en el planeta de Carcosa. Creo que el resultado fue una plática muy interesante. Lo primero que quise saber, luego de comentarles lo mucho que aprecio los juegos del estudio, es si Saros desde un principio fue concebido como una continuación de las ideas de Returnal o originalmente era algo distinto, a lo que Gregory nos dijo lo siguiente.
Well, firstly, thank you for playing all the Housemarque games and supporting us. It means a lot. So, just wanted to get that out of the way. And yeah, it's epic. So yeah, I'm so glad to hear you enjoyed Saros. That's great. And yeah, congrats on getting to the endings as well. In short, yes, we did build on Returnal, but we also knew we wanted to let Returnal stand on its own, and we wanted to do something new. So we wanted to take the stuff we loved. We wanted to take our gameplay first philosophy and go even deeper. We wanted to add new elements to the mix as well. We wanted to do dark sci-fi again. We wanted to explore cosmic horror through another lens, but we also wanted to add permanent progression systems. Very early on, we wanted the idea of come back stronger was more than a marketing tagline. It was actually a vision statement. So when we were looking to come up with the tagline, I'm like, let's use come back stronger. It's been part of the game since the beginning. It's an important part. The next element was more characters. So we knew we wanted to add more viewpoints. We loved what we did with Celine on Atropos, but we also knew we wanted more characters for you to love and lose and connect with. And then last but not least, we wanted to escalate our gameplay even further. And that was this idea of the eclipse. What's a bigger cosmic event than literally two celestial bodies kind of crossing? So this whole idea of how could we use the eclipse to escalate our gameplay, to take everything we learned from Returnal and take it to the next level. It was us building on our success, but then also wanting to add these new components, which there was never a discussion of let's do Returnal 2. It was always let's take what we love from Returnal and do a spiritual successor and create Saros.
Bien, no por nada Saros se siente como una secuela espiritual a la aventura de Celine. Donde las cosas sí han cambiado bastante es en el diseño artístico. Al ver un producto como Saros, que claramente tiene mucho trabajo detrás de su mundo e imagen, me interesó preguntarle a Simón cómo es que luce el proceso creativo entre los equipos que se dedican al gameplay y los de arte en un juego tan intenso como este, donde todo pasa tan rápido que corres el riesgo de perder todo lo que se hizo para este apartado.
I think one of the main jobs that I have at Housemarque is to try not to get in the way. Because gameplay first is something that is extremely valid for art as well. What we want is to enhance the experience, make sure that every moment that you have to take a split-second decision is crystal clear. We want this idea of clarity in motion. So I'll give you an example. All of our architecture has these details, all the details of our world live very up high. They are not very much in the middle, because we treat that as a canvas, and we want the arcade brush to paint on top of that canvas. It's about the gameplay being the protagonist and letting that mid ground take a step back. But when you're done with the combat and the fireworks of combat, then if you look up, there's so much art for you to look at. And yeah, someone might miss it, but that's when game designers come up with flying enemies that lead the eye as they go up, and now you see them anyway. So that's like a high five between game design and art, where also we made these beautiful vistas on the world, and they go and put the money right in front of the vistas without me saying anything, and it's just a moment of, oh, okay, thank you so much, right? And this collaboration goes through everything. It really shapes the way that we think about the whole art package, including the architecture. For example, I tend to treat the player almost like a Ferrari, because you go at 10,000 miles an hour through the levels, right? And so we chose neoclassicals for the architecture at the beginning because it had these nice arches, and it feels good to go through arches. It's like a time trial thing. That's why we added so many. Then didn't really work visually because it's too safe, so we added Italian futurism to give it that nice violence and alien feel that we needed. But the arches stayed, and the Italian futurism has this constant rhythm of vertical lines in the level, and when you go at speed, that feels really good in a sensorial manner, right? So it's always about understanding the way that gameplay is thinking about the game, and then what kind of choices do we make to reinforce that. Even in the visual exploration of Arjun, is meant to be this unstoppable force. He's gonna shoulder charge through cosmic horror, right? So we needed to build a suit that is inspired by contact sport and law enforcement and 80s movies, and like what is a sheriff in space type thing. And it sort of molded him into this force that you can tell already just by the silhouette and the design of an enforcer of Soltari. So it's always about letting the function drive the form, but then inform the function a little bit back, you know? It's a nice conversation.
No cabe duda que hay que mantener un balance delicado para que los detalles finos de la construcción de mundo no se pierdan en la intensidad. Ya que estamos hablando de intensidad, les comenté a Gregory y a Simone que antes de entrarle de lleno a Saros me di a la tarea de regresar a Returnal un rato, y que, para mí, este nuevo lanzamiento resulta ser una experiencia de más alto octanaje. Por ello, le pregunté a Gregory qué elementos considera él que materializan esta sensación.
Yeah, it's a variety of things. I think, for starters, I don't know if you felt the same, but I'm really proud of our amazing design team, because I think our controls are even tighter and the game's even faster. So, number one, speed. This is like a super fast action game. So, another thing we did is controls. We actually moved dash onto L1 so you don't take your fingers off the stick, so you lock in even more. And last but not least, like one of the early questions when we were starting Saros was, do we have more bullets or less bullets? And we were like, more. And we really push it. So there's so many projectiles, the game is faster, but I think the thing I love about Saros and what our amazing team has done is that in one way, in Returnal, it was all about avoidance. So you kind of see all the projectiles, you want to get away from them. In Saros, you want to use them. The blue bullets are ammo, you want to collect them to use your power weapon. The corruption bullets, I don't know if you experimented with that, corruption builds are super powerful. You can really hit hard if you overload yourself with corruption. It's a special way to play it. And then lastly, the Nova projectiles, so you can parry them. So it's this, I think the addition of more projectiles mixed with an even faster action game, I think to your point of intensity, it created this whole atmosphere. And then last but not least, the Eclipse. We just escalated even further. We add drone metal over the experience. We add tentacles in the world to make it even more cosmic horror. So it's a symphony of elements that really elevates the game, and I think gives it this atmosphere and intensity and really pulls you into the immersion of the game. But yeah, I'd say that's a few of the elements, but there's so many components to really create this experience that you're playing.
Continuando con lo que menciona Gregory de la reconfiguración de los controles, es muy notorio que ahora, en Saros, la gran mayoría de las acciones se llevan a cabo en la parte superior del control, abandonando en muchos sentidos los botones frontales. Por ello, me interesó que me hablara un poco más respecto al proceso que conlleva tomar estas decisiones. ¿Es una situación iterativa o una idea que llega después de jugar constantemente?
I think in the end, it's we have once again an amazing design team that just iterates, and we love playing our game. We're always playing our game, always iterating, always pushing. So it was just a process of almost bit by bit. We started removing buttons from the face button to really let you lock in and stay and be focused on the movement. So it was just part of the process of us wanting to create a really like the next amazing Housemarque action game. So we like to use the word distillation. It's a process of distillation where you start in one way and you constantly remove to kind of find the most simple, the strongest, the best gameplay for players. So it was just a process of distillation in summary. We just kept iterating and pushing. And I think another great discovery was, I think a challenge that we put ourselves on was how could we use the adaptive triggers more? So actually the idea of we loved what we did with the Altfire and Returnal, but we wanted to push it further. And when our amazing design team pitched the idea of the Altfire in between, that we could have even more functionality, I loved it. So it's this like really amazing team all working together as one to try to create the best controls, the best movement, the best feeling we can give to players. So yeah, no shortcuts, just lots of work and lots of iteration to get where we wanted to get.
Algo que diferencia este juego de su antecesor es su estilo narrativo. Ahora tenemos más interacciones entre personajes, pero algo que me gusta es que también esconde mucho trasfondo en otros lugares, como pantallas de carga o con las secuencias que ocurren cuando activamos un eclipse. Por ello, me pareció interesante preguntarle a Simone cuál es el control que se lleva para hacerle estas pequeñas revelaciones al jugador y cómo se toman las decisiones de qué mostrar y cuándo.
Well, for us, this was one of the places where we really wanted to challenge ourselves, because Celine is on Atropos. Instead, Arjun has a whole crew around him, and it's not easy to evolve from this point to Saros, because now you have cutscenes with 5 different people in it, and we really wanted to prove ourselves and how far can we push the quality, especially when we got the performances of Rahul back, and it was so good, and I was like, okay, now we have to really push here. And I think we really did a lot on those that can show the emotions that you're meant to feel. And to me, these cutscenes are a setup of questions, but the answer is in the gameplay. The answer is in going to the level and finding out, is in meeting the challenge head on, learning to stay in that dance of bullets. So that's sort of the way that at least Greg always talked to me about it, is, hey, this is a moment for questions, a moment for intimacy, for emotions and feelings, and then the answer, we will put it in the gameplay after. And what we also don't want to do with the narrative, I think, is to slow down the player too much. We really want them to stay in the action. We really want them to be able to go back to the action as fast as possible. That's why there's a lot of depth in the narrative that rewards your curiosity. You can go around the world to find pieces and bits and pieces of Carcosa and holologs and notes and all these things, but only if you want to, only if you're curious, right? If you care only about shooting, then you should be rewarded for that too by streamlining that experience. And we want to cater to both. But to me, the cutscenes were such an awesome push that we did, because they really bring you in the motions of the character, right? What is Arjun going through? Well, now I'm able to feel it in a different way because I have these other perspectives around me, and not all of them are trustworthy. So that's also an interesting angle that we added. It adds more question, it adds more things to discover. And again, some of these cutscenes are not on the main path at all. You have to go and find them. So that's another thing that I loved about Returnal, because it really respected my time, but also respected my curiosity. And I think with Saros we did even more of that.
Yeah, no, I think you answered it really well. I'd say the only extra thought to your question about these little moments, it's I think it was the same as Returnal and the same with Saros. We knew exactly the story we wanted to tell from the beginning. So once again was a process of distillation of knowing what to hint at. So I think if you go back through the game, you're going to notice a lot more. We're constantly foreshadowing and we're constantly setting up payoffs for you. So the little clips, all the elements, the music, the sound design, there's secrets within them all that the first time you play you don't notice, but I think the second, the third, it'll all come together even more. So yeah, everything Simone said, plus having the story you want to tell, you can extract it and really bring it home as well.
Como ya lo mencionamos, a nivel visual, Saros es un juego sumamente impresionante. Desde los ambientes, pasando por el ballet de balas y proyectiles que nos acosan constantemente, hasta la epítome de los momentos de acción que representan los jefes. Por lo mismo, pregunté cuál es el proceso para crear estos encuentros en los que hay mucho gameplay refinado, pero también hay mucho espectáculo.
I think for us it always starts with a concept, an archetype. It's like, oh, what about this? You know, and it's just an archetype, but that's just a conversation starter. The important work is in the conversation, because gameplay might have a good idea, but art might have done a really cool concept, and then you look at these two things like, oh, they actually marry really well, or they don't work at all. And then, you know, we had an example where one of the bosses, one phase was really good for the concept, but then the next phase didn't work at all, so we had to make a different concept out of that, and it sort of transforms through the game. And I think that that's really what the interesting part is in making games, is that it is a collaboration and a conversation. And the way that I think about a boss is spectacle first, but a game designer is going to be no, it's gameplay first, and he's right. But at the same time, on the bosses, we kind of dial up the spectacle as well, right? So I would say it's a very close dance between these two disciplines, and you actually don't get the full picture of a boss until the audio comes in, even more than the rest of the game, I would say, because when you hear one of the bosses roar and screech, oh, it's very different. The whole emotional playground is completely different, and I wasn't scared of it before, and then I started making mistakes after the audio was in there when I was playing, because now it was more intense, right? So there's a lot of personality that comes through also with audio participating in the conversation, and music especially. I think there's one boss that has my favorite soundtrack of the whole game, on the ship, but it's definitely one of the most collaborative parts of the entire game dev experience, I would say, because it's the apex of every discipline.
En un juego como este, la dificultad es de suma importancia. Al tratarse de un título de acción, el reto hacia el jugador debe ser constante, pero no abrumador. Algo interesante que tiene Saros es su nueva meta progresión. Después de todo, el lema del juego es vuelve más fuerte. Ya no se depende simplemente de la experiencia del jugador para interactuar con el mundo. Ahora cosas como la matriz de armadura le dan más estructura a este concepto. Sin embargo, por lo mismo hay que tener cuidado. Quise saber la clase de proceso que se lleva a cabo para mantener el balance de dificultad al introducir sistemas de progresión como este.
Yeah, I'd say the way it started was we knew we created something successful with Returnal, and we didn't want to dilute the challenge. So it was just about giving players more means to overcome that friction. So we added the armor matrix. There's actually a Carcosan modifier. I don't know if you've tried it. You can remove the progression from the armor matrix. So it was always about wanting to create this challenging game that stayed true to what we created, but then provide new avenues. Same with Second Chance. We don't just give it away for free. You're going to need Second Chance in this game until we take it away from you. So naturally, it's basically us wanting to add these elements and provide more ways for players to overcome, because a big goal for this game was we loved what we created with Returnal, and we love what we created with Saros, and we want even more people to fall in love with the game the same way that we have. We've really put everything into it to make something really special. So for us, it's just a means of keeping the challenge, but then adding these new elements of ways to overcome the challenge. So the skill that you took from Returnal, the transient progression, the player knowledge, that definitely does not go away. It's just there's also the added elements that you can take as well. So it's really about player agency, that you can choose to confront it as you see fit and then really enjoy the game. So I can't wait to see some of the wild speed runs people do with this game and everything like Returnal. So rest assured, if you want challenge, it's there. But also if you want to go through Saros and adjust it a bit, you can do that as well with the modifiers, and you can still have a great experience. So yeah, I'd say that was the overall goal.
I think that what we did is give you the time and the tools to learn how to dance. That's all you need, you know. Welcome to Carcosa, learn how to dance, enjoy the ballet.
Le agradezco mucho a Gregory y a Simone por su tiempo. Siempre es bastante padre platicar con personas responsables de proyectos tan ambiciosos como lo es Saros, que, a tono personal, disfruté como chango. También le agradezco a PlayStation México por la oportunidad, esperando que esta conversación banda les haya parecido igualmente interesante. Recuerden que ya tenemos una reseña de este estreno por parte de Housemarque para que puedan conocer nuestra opinión más a fondo y complementen lo que platicamos el día de hoy. Sin más por el momento, banda, me despido porque ese platino de Saros no se va a sacar solito. Agradecemos el apoyo de nuestros Patreons de mayo, entre los cuales se encuentran El Pat, MacBean 166, Rubén Barajas Nagoro, Paladín Koala, Diego Monroy Fraustro, Eikin Ameku, Pinche Che, The Better Bird, Alfredo Fuentes, Julián Márquez, Ramón Reinero Mendoza Maya, Carlos Sosa, Albert Alba Guzmán, San Palomino, Drake, Ivano Krieger, Alexis Valencia, Edson Segura, Rodo Vázquez, Mugrimao y Ernesto Ruiz. Muchas gracias, banda. Nos vemos a la próxima.